Welcome to the Action Playbook. I'm Jason Fox.
And I'm Coach Robin.
And we're helping leaders take action in life and business. All right, welcome back to the Action Playbook, episode 33. And we've got another guest today, Steve Smith from EmbroidMe. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
He's been on my tail going, Jason, I've got some important stuff to tell you. Get me on your podcast. So here he is.
Thank you. Hopefully we can add some value.
I'm sure you can. So we normally start this off with a little bit of background. So I guess there was some point in your life, there's some pivotal moment that you went, screw this, I'm not working for someone. Is EmbroidMe your first company, or have you had your own business prior to this?
No, so I had a bit of a foray into business back in 2007. So I've got quite a marketing background, and there was an opportunity came up to, I guess a bit like Robin, it was offer a coaching type service, but from a marketing angle, particularly for small businesses. Yeah. So we used to term it timeshare marketing manager, if you like. That was during the GFC, obviously. So it was pretty hard yards, lots of cold calling, all about customer acquisition.
I'm going to interrupt you. I mean, marketing is always the first thing that people cut when it gets tight, eh?
For sure.
And it's probably the last thing that should be.
Yeah. And it became quite tough, so that's when I ended up going back into employment, but it was always in the back of my mind to try and get to a stage where we could operate our own business again. So that's really where it came from, yeah.
Did that come from a feeling of, I'm doing this for someone else, but I think I can do it better myself?
Yeah, so I guess I'd moved back into the corporate world. There was a privately owned business that I was working for, which had really good company values, but then they were acquired, and you get back into that corporate zone where I guess you could probably link it into the service aspect, actually. We got to a stage in terms of size where, as a sales rep, which was my job, you kind of lost the ability to service your clients as you wanted to, and that didn't sit well with me, and that's really when I was looking for something else. And we looked at, maybe now's the time. And we were just hunting for opportunities out there. So, yeah.
So what, hunting for opportunities, were you door knocking, or you just scrolling through TradeMe? Like how does an opportunity come to one?
Yeah, TradeMe businesses for sale.
Yep.
We were sat down in Taupo in the caravan. And Ginny, my wife Ginny, as you know, she showed me this listing and she said, well, what about this? And interestingly, so that was for EmbroidMe. As we were coming home driving through Rotorua, we happened to drive past the Rotorua store, because obviously we're a franchise group, and we ended up saying, well, why don't we call in? And we had a chat to the owners. They were quite new into the business. It all sounded quite positive, and you go from there to the next stage, which was an orientation meeting in Auckland, and the rest sort of just flowed from there, and it sounded quite appealing. So it was just as a result of a TradeMe business for sale listing while we're sitting in a caravan in Taupo.
So at that point, when you were sitting in that caravan, you were looking at that listing, did you think you were going to buy an existing business, or did you know that it was the ad for a startup of a brand that is franchised?
I think the key thing, we didn't really have a view on it. We didn't have a view that we were going to get into a franchise business. So I think where it really came from was the experience of going into that Rotorua store. And it's not a marketing advertisement in a business for sale listing. You're actually speaking to the real people on the ground. But certainly the brand was quite well established. There's, as we see from the logo, 15 years for the franchise business now, so a good established brand, and just a really good support network. But we've got quite strong relationships between the owner group, and that's probably where there's quite a lot of value, is bouncing ideas off the other owners. And as part of that franchise orientation, you actually get to spend some time with the owners, and I guess I was a bit proactive and contacted quite a few of them off my own back anyway, just to get an experience, an idea of the experience that those guys, whether they've been new or quite long in the game.
Yeah, so the owners of each individual store, not the actual franchisee.
Correct.
Each individual owner. So you're learning from their mistakes and wins. And
yeah.
So that was one of the questions I was going to have, was because you don't see a lot of people go, all right, I'm going to go start a business. let's look at a franchise. But yeah, we all know that McDonald's, hyper successful, New World, hyper successful, Back and Save.
Yeah.
Everyone who owns one of those, we're like, wow, man, if you get into that, you're lucky.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're buying a franchise.
Yeah.
So you're buying something with proven systems in place,
Yeah.
and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So have you found a real advantage in coming into a franchise?
Yeah, I think so. We were brand new into the industry as well. So for me, I saw a link between marketing, branding to what we're doing now. You know, our little tagline is helping brands get noticed through apparel and promotional products. So there was a link there. And from a systems point of view, going into embroidery, screen printing, promotional products, no background at all. So particularly when you're taking on a new territory, you know, Tauranga was a brand new store, brand new territory, no customers, no knowledge of the industry.
Brand awareness.
Brand awareness, yeah, that was quite key, was to have a base system to work from.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite reassuring, really.
Yeah.
I want to double back to something else you said, though, Steve. I've heard it said that, you know, you buy a franchise for the systems and you stay for the community.
Yep.
And so how important is that, you know, the franchise owners community to you and what you do?
Oh, massive. You know, we've got a formal forum, if you like, which enables us to communicate. And there might be a particular product that you're not aware of. There might be a particular issue which you are encountering. And as I say, we're 15 years experience across the group. You've got some real knowledgeable people that you can get information from. And yeah, there's massive value in that.
And discussions around what's working, what's not working.
Yep.
You know, we've tried this, don't worry, you know, this was great.
Yeah.
That experience share is absolutely invaluable, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You also have events like awards nights and stuff like that as well,
Yep.
which I've seen. And last year was a classic example. A meme come up and this person standing at the bar having a drink, and it's like your Christmas do when you're self-employed.
Yeah.
And now that's the life I've been living for quite a few years, and now I'm a part of something bigger. We've actually got a Christmas do with, we're going to have 40 to 80 people in a room on Friday night, and it's awesome to actually be a part of someone or something where there's people in a team.
Yeah.
And business is very lonely, so to have that community around you and have those little things throughout the year where you laugh about your failures and celebrate your triumphs together has got to be great.
And that's one of the nice things is, you know, there's a conference that takes place every year. You've got physical contact within the rest of the group. So you share a few beers, you have a few laughs. Obviously, there's a wide range of personalities in the group.
Yeah.
And they do have an awards night, and it's nice to be recognised for the achievements which you've made. That is quite...
It's a measure of success against something else, because if you're in business on your own, you feel like you're going okay, but you've got nothing to gauge it against. You don't really know.
Yeah.
But how many stores are there in NZ, do you know?
There are 15, I believe.
Yeah. So if you sit there and you get an award over 15 stores on something,
it means something.
Yeah, it's got some weight behind it.
Yeah. And interesting, this year we were in Fiji for the last one. Because
sorry about it.
And that was part of the 15-year milestone that had been reached. And EmbroidMe, Speedy Signs, co-brand, part of the same franchise group. We all came together in Fiji, had a big conference, and then the awards night was across both groups.
Sure.
So it was even bigger opportunity. And I'm not sure on the number of stores that they've got, but it's more than EmbroidMe.
Yeah, okay.
So you're probably talking 37 stores all told. I would guess.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So how far into your journey of starting this business, how far into the journey before you realized that this isn't for the faint of heart?
2 weeks. Yeah, it's quite scary because even from the outset, you're taking on a business, you have no clients, you have no knowledge. The model is you need a production person and you kind of need a customer service person. So you're starting from day one with a team of 2 plus yourself. And obviously you've got to fund that, but at the same time you've got to build your client base, which is non-existent. So pretty much from day one, the rose tinted specs come off, and it's the classic thing, I guess. It's probably the second year that you start to gain, real momentum and traction. Yep. So I think what I would be saying to somebody getting into a business, hopefully they'll know it, is there's a period of time that it takes before you're going to start hitting the ground and gaining momentum. So yeah, it's quite scary. Somebody said to me once, if you knew then what you know now, would you do it again? And I'd sort of go, maybe.
Yeah, really got to think about it.
Yeah. I always say to people, I have the utmost respect for anyone who goes out on their own, because it's a bold step. Yeah. And worthy of respect. Yeah. Because irrespective of where that journey goes, the idea of taking that bold step and starting a business or getting into a business that you haven't done before, it's a big step. I mean, for me, I'm on my 6th business now, so maybe less daunting, but I always show the respect to people that do it. So anyone listening to this right now, and you've done it, big respect to you, mate.
I think the other important thing, and we've had this conversation before anyway, is if you've had a business failure, that's actually quite a good thing, because you can learn from that. And my gig that I was involved with in 2007, and I won't just blame the GFC on that, it was pretty hard yards. And you look back what you learned then to what you're applying now, and it actually stands you in good stead, and you learn some lessons from that when you're going into your subsequent businesses. Yeah. So that was actually quite powerful.
Yeah, failure is definitely one of the ways that we learn, from an early age, falling, trying to stand up and then falling, and keeping trying to stand up is what gets you there, isn't it? All right, so I want to come back to something you touched on there. It was customer service. Mm-hmm. So when I talk to a lot of business owners, and I always ask the question, so what differentiates you from your competitors? And invariably, I can almost predictably say that, most like up in the 90 percentile will turn around and say our customer service is what separates us. And it's ironic, because I've just spoken to 3 other people in the same industry, and they're all saying the same thing, right? Yeah. But once I started looking at what it was that you were doing, Steve, you and Ginny, with EmbroidMe, it became very clear that customer service is key to what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just one of those, and it's very rare that it really, customer service is that big a deal in a business, that it does separate them from everybody else. But with your business, and your business in particular, I have to say it's 100% true.
Awesome. Yeah.
So tell us what customer service means to you.
So I'll take it back a stage. So got a marketing background, and I can probably remember from right back at university when we're going through this marketing degree. And one of the things that I remember, without getting technical, there's a term they call marketing disconnect. Okay, and what that means is you've got particularly maybe a corporate business, and they've got on their mission statement, we provide the ultimate customer service experience. And you walk into the shop and you get somebody on the front counter, or your interaction totally does not align with that value or that statement. So they call that marketing disconnect. So I think from a service point of view, live your values, absolutely. Otherwise it's just words. And that's really what I learned. But we provide service, because if you have a positive reaction with a client, do you feel good or do you feel bad? Well, you feel good. Do they feel good? Absolutely, they feel good. So why would you not offer good service? Again, I guess from a marketing point of view, how do businesses differentiate themselves from other businesses? Well, service doesn't cost you money. It's probably the most effective way that you can achieve differentiation, and it costs you no money. Why would you not?
Yeah, we talk about that quite a lot. It costs a lot of money to acquire a customer through marketing and stuff, but it costs you very little to keep that same customer.
Correct.
So why try and burn a customer and then go and find a new one, get that customer and get them for that life cycle of repeat business and grow with them.
Yep.
Yeah,
Without
they might
a
be
doubt.
starting out with 5 staff, and now they've got a team of 50.
Yep.
Guess what? Your order size has gone up.
Yep.
When I talk about the ladder of loyalty, you know, when somebody buys something from you for the first time, they're a shopper. And then when they come back, that's when they become a client or a customer, right? So that repeat business. So how can you make them come back? You know, that's the question.
You know, and there was a situation occurred only recently, last week in fact, and there was a client that we were dealing with. He wasn't particularly happy with the end product that he'd received. He believed that he was expecting something else. And eventually what we ended up doing is, I'm not big on discounts, but we gave him a discount off the product and we offered him free.
Whoa, hold the fort.
However,
Robin just fell off his chair.
exactly. But why did we do that? So let's say the discount cost us $100. If you were to invest $100 on a marketing campaign, pull the marketing thing back in, would you get the same benefit and the same outcome that you would from investing $100 to keep that client happy? And as a result of it, he went away sort of loyal. There was other stuff he was looking at. He called me, I think it was on Friday, and the conversation had taken a completely different turn because we looked for a solution that was going to appease him and, you know, help the outcome be positive.
I presume that was a significant client. I mean, you were talking about doing some significant business with you.
I guess we don't always get it right, but I could see opportunities for this guy. No, he wasn't, you know, he was a fairly new client, but you've got to look at the life value of the customer. You may not always get it right, but you've also got the aspect, you know, we're all in networking groups, for example. You've got that referral aspect as well. So what's the statistic? So the person that's not happy, he might go and tell 6-7 people about the negative experience. Unfortunately, you know, if they have a positive experience, they might only tell 3. But it just shows you that negative interaction can have far more impact in a negative fashion.
What I was going to say before, they say that when you have an issue within your business, it's your opportunity to get your most loyal customers, because it's how you deal with whatever that issue may be that returns the repeat custom. So if I go to, when I was selling trucks, we used to say the salesperson sells the first truck, the parts and workshop sell second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, because the relationship gets the first truck sold.
Yeah.
But guess what? When it's broken down on the Kaimais and there's no parts on the shelf, and you're telling them it's 3 hours before you can come out and look at the truck, and they're seeing truck stops or the opposition brand across the road getting their truck fixed, they're not thinking about buying your product second time round. So it's how you look after them when something goes wrong. They can go, you know what, something goes wrong all the time. Stuff goes wrong in my house, my relationships, stuff goes wrong, but how do we resolve it? That's what makes that loyal bond. And
the other statistic, couldn't give you the figures, but the other aspect is if you have a client that's happy with you and they become a raving fan, that's great. But the science shows that if you've got a customer that's not happy and you turn around that situation so that they become loyal, they often end up being more loyal than if they had never had a problem with you before.
A mate of mine back in South Africa, he had a business, an online business, so they measured everything. And what they found was that when it's all about how you deal with it, right? So when they delivered something was faulty, they would just replace it. There was no questions. It would just be like, hey, you keep the old one, we'll send you a new one, happy days. They found that their loyalty, retention rate, and repeat business went up for those customers where they did that than anyone who bought something and was just happy with, you know, what they expected to receive.
And they'll tell their friends.
And they'll tell their friends.
And their family. And they'll tell their friends.
Yeah, because that's amazing, because often when something breaks, you know, oh, I've got to take it back to the store and there's going to be a whole process and there's paperwork versus, sweet, here's another one. You're going to talk about that.
When something goes wrong and I know I have to go back to the store, I get my heckles up. I'm like, all right.
This is my time. You cost me money. I was going to use that product on the weekend and it didn't work in front of my friends and it wasn't cool.
But interestingly, again, is I mentioned the reason we were looking for our own business was because the business that I was working for, they were becoming more corporate. As a sales rep, we used to sell a particular product. It consisted of a number of components, and invariably the smallest value component, if there was a problem with it, would lead to a flow-on effect down the line. And in the early days, we were empowered to make a decision that if there was an issue, we could replace it, we could get them up and running and on their way. But when that business started to become more corporate, then you had to take a photo, you had to fill a form in, you had to go through the process. And in the meantime, the customers that you've got a previous relationship with saying, well, it never used to be like this, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, this... Yeah,
it's almost a scarcity versus abundance, but I get it. The big company might have a number of shareholders, and they've got to prove where everything's gone, and that there's just stuff not disappearing out the door.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about initially was almost the 4-hour work week type thing. We're like, you know what? If it's not going to cost the business $100, don't tell me about it, because I'm over here doing this in the business. You guys do you.
Correct.
And carry on.
Yeah.
And then for the customer's point of view, oh yeah, we'll just chuck a new bolt on that now. Job done.
Yep.
Easy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I want to move on to the next thing. Customer service is key to everything that you do, right? And you draw that into your team too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, doesn't matter who I talk to at EmbroidMe, I always get great service. And I use EmbroidMe, don't I? So...
not enough.
I'll try and use them more.
Okay, thank you.
So how do you measure your customer service? What is the measurement tool you use to know that you're doing a good job?
I just want to pick up on a quick point that you mentioned there. So you said that the service within EmbroidMe is drilled into the staff. It's not. You make sure that you've got the right people, to tag the term, on the bus. If you haven't got the right person on the bus, you have to drill it into them. And invariably they'll end up resenting the fact that you've had to drill that into them. So that's the first thing, is making sure you've got the right people.
It's a very important point, that.
Measure of success. Obviously the key one, we work our Google reviews really hard. The other aspect is the direct interaction. So we have referral sources within our point of sale system, and one of those is repeat business. And also on our monthly reporting, we record in detail the repeat customer percentage, if you like, and customer acquisition as well. So we're continually monitoring those statistics. But, we know without stats that we're doing the right job, and we've got the people that reflect the same values.
Those are all important numbers, and you're 100% right. Those are great measures to know that you're doing the right things and that people are coming back, which tells you that they're enjoying it. Yeah. But I want to just stick on that Google reviews for a second. So just for the benefit of the listeners, how many Google reviews are you sitting on now?
227 5 stars. Sorry, funny point. 226 5 stars, 1 4-star. And I rang the guy with the 4-star and I said, really appreciate your review. What could we have done differently to get that 5th star? And he said, you guys are amazing, but nobody's perfect.
And that's the unfortunate thing with the reviews, right? Everyone's like, wow, yeah, that was great, but I can't give them 10. Like, what else am I measuring against? 9 sounds fair. Not realizing what that actually does to the business. Yeah. Like Google just got it ranked that if you're not 5-star, you're nobody.
Yeah. But luckily with that 226 5 stars, you still get the 5.0. So we'll take that.
Yeah.
So how did you manage to get so many? I mean, obviously you do a good job, and but is there some sort of strategy behind how you get those? Would you like to share?
It has to be a process within your business. So, if you're selling, you talk about cross-selling, upselling, you make it a process of your business to drive that behavior. Google reviews is another part of it. So we use a QR code on our literature. We have a link on the invoice follow-ups. So we send a order confirmation. It's on the template as a link. Email signatures, thank you cards. So every interaction you can have with that client that you've done business with, you're putting that in front of them. But probably where the most reviews come from is actually asking the question at the front counter. But your biggest challenge is you ask for the review and they say, yep, no problem at all. We've had a really good experience, but then they go away and they get busy. So that's why we have the email signature, you know, all the rest of it to back it up. But you have to make it a process, a business process to ask for those reviews all the time.
Yeah, and have you ever given a reward to anyone for a review?
No, and I had this conversation just last week, actually. My belief is if you have to reward somebody to leave you a review, then it's counterintuitive to me, because if they're that happy, they'll willingly do it.
It's disgenuine, but it can come across as genuine because of course I'll do that because I might win something, but also it leads the horse to water, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, guys. You know this is important because I've been asking some clients for years, sending out emails. Hey guys, here it is. Here's the link here. Just click here, please. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I did one recently to about 30 clients, and one did the review.
Yeah.
Like it is a hard yakka.
Yeah.
So the average person like me go, fuck it. Yeah, too hard. But as we said before we started this podcast, I was looking for a hairdresser. I was like, I need a haircut. I wonder who's free around here. Just started scrolling through reviews. Then I started looking at photos at the cuts, and I went, no, I don't want to go to any of these places.
Do you know a good hairdresser?
Steve doesn't get the joke. For those of you listening on Spotify, he looks like Jason Statham. In more ways than one.
The interesting thing, though, is, and maybe it's paranoia, but I also believe if you advertise the fact that you're looking for Google reviews, and this actually happened, and you've never had a relationship with a person as far as doing business with them, you know, you've got jokers out there that go, oh, we'll leave a 1 star, you know, because that'll be funny, right? And it will bring your numbers down. Mm-hmm. And we did have that. There was a guy left a review, 1 star. I thought, I don't recognise this guy. And I rang him and I said, you know, have we done business together? And he said, no. I said, so why did you leave me a review? He said, don't know. And then he went away and he turned it into a 5 star.
Still hasn't done business with me. But I think I love what you said, and it was important that you're not out there rewarding people for leaving reviews, which is tempting. But every one of those reviews that you have, and that's quite a number, those are all genuine, authentic experiences, except for this one guy. But you know, and I think that's really important. Is that those are authentic. And a true reflection of, you know, the values that you stand by for your business and the promises that you make to anyone coming to do business with you. Yeah, I've actually got some interesting stats that I looked up just before this podcast because I knew we were going to talk about Google reviews. So 79% of customers put as much weight, right? 79% put as much weight on customer reviews as they do personal referral.
I would believe that, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you know, word of mouth is the most powerful, and it certainly is powerful. Yeah. But guess what? There's a new player. Yeah. And they're running even Stevens. 81% of consumers use Google to evaluate local businesses. Yeah. 81%. Yeah. 93% make buying decisions based on product reviews. So product reviews and Google reviews. So, you know, reviewing the business, but also put a bit of effort into your products because that could sway someone's decision making. And this was an interesting one. So 50% are more likely to be motivated by a review than a discount offer.
And discounts are the devil, right?
Discounts is bad. Yeah. Discounts are 4-letter
We don't like discounts.
We don't like discounts. But what I will say, though, is that what that stat tells me is that people are putting a lot of weight on the values of a business over just the price, right? The added value that you get from dealing with this business over that business carries a lot of weight.
But back to, we made the point before as well, is having the right people on the team and having the right attitude. So you talked about product reviews. We probably go above and beyond as far as making sure that we're delivering a quality product, which is a great thing. And I've said to the team, you know, if you have to ask the question, does this look okay? Or what do you think of this? Then it probably isn't. So we need to review it and make sure that we, are doing the right thing. And ultimately, again, the business that we're in, it's great in some respects. Our business is advertising itself on our customers' garments. And if your logo looks fairly average, the first question that people generally ask is, where did you get that done? Oh, that looks rough. So there's, another incentive or another motivation to not get it wrong.
There's nowhere to hide.
Oh, that looks terrible. Yeah, EmbroidMe did that.
That must actually come down to the garment itself too, though, because if you buy a cheap garment and put it on and then they wash it 3 times and it's faded,
Yep.
like, you can't believe this, I brought this and it's faded. Like, you'd have to run through quite a lot of control check on the products that you're actually selling, because you're not just selling the stitching or the
Yep.
screen printing, you're selling the
Yeah.
the shirt, the pants, the high vis, whatever it may be.
And that's a good point. So everything is proofed, whether it be a print, an embroidery, everything gets a proof. Customer gets to approve it, hopefully in person, because you can take a picture, but invariably people enlarge the picture and, things start to look a bit grainy. And then you mentioned quality check-in. So, maybe we go overboard. I don't think we do. Product gets checked when it comes through the door. When it's unpacked, the product gets checked when it goes down to production again. So sizes and quantities, etc., colours. And then the finished product gets checked again when the production has been done. And then when that's presented to the customer, we know we've gone through 3 stages to make sure that what's delivered is fit for purpose and to our standards, because we're in the detail business. That's what it is.
Yeah, look, I haven't seen your profit and loss or anything, but I imagine when you sell 10 shirts and they're supposed to be black and you supply the customer with 10 blue ones, that he's not going to pay his bill and you've got to start over to make him happy. And if you're not doing those checks up front, you're not going to be in business very long, are you?
Well, but we have a good enough relationship that we can convince the guy to go with blue.
Blue's the new black?
Not with a discount.
Blue's the new black.
We'll offer him an extra black shirt.
We'll give you the blue at the same price as you were going to pay for the black.
Good idea, I like that.
Yeah.
Normally it would be more. And I think also one of the key things is, you stand by everything that you promise, right down to having a storefront with all the samples in there so that anyone can come and feel it, touch it, try it on. Even you've got a changing room. So all of that is there to make sure that the customer leaves with the best experience and the best result at the end, which is beyond just what a branded garment is, but it's that good feeling that people get when they leave.
And that's the point. It's a good point, because that's the point we're trying to push more now, is lots of people obviously shopping on price, lots of people shopping online. And one of the points that we try and push is don't rely on a website. Come and touch, feel, inspect the product and talk to a human being. And again, part of that process is you're not just buying a shirt. We want to know, what business you're in. We could sell you a sports singlet, and when you go to your coaching client, it's a really nice sports singlet, but it's probably not the look that you want.
Well, when you built like
well, maybe you do. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
your wife's a lucky guy. Your wife's a lucky guy. Sorry, your wife's a lucky lady.
He just came out of the closet.
How did this podcast go so south?
Sorry.
I don't know.
Where were we?
So yeah, it's all about making a promise, delivering on that promise, and then even exceeding the promise.
Absolutely, yeah. Every time.
So, on that experience, there's 2 questions I want to ask. One's a real quick one. You said being in business for 2 years, you started to learn some of the throes of business and how hard it is, but you started hitting some strides too. Have you been in business 2 years, or has it been a bit longer? Like, how long have you been in business now?
So March 2000, it was the 12th of March 2018 at 8:30 a.m. It's ingrained in the brain.
So you're 4 years into that journey, but
6.5.
6.5 years?
No,
5.5 years?
Maths is good.
Into the journey, and we're talking about the customer's experience and everything. You've also moved premise in that time. So what was the effect on your business and the customer experience going from, was it First Ave
Yep.
to Cameron Road?
Yep.
How'd that impact your business?
I think firstly, we're all pretty well versed with the various transportation parking situations that we have locally, and one of the aspects about moving was to try and find better premises, which ultimately provided better options for customers to park, to come. We're not typically a walk-in store, so we don't get lots of walk-in traffic. So from that point of view, it's not the end of the world. But ultimately, it's good news. We wanted bigger premises because we wanted to expand our production. We now offer print services, so that required a bit more space for that equipment. So and more profile really. So yeah, just looking at options at the time.
And you're able to carry more stock? 'Cause did you have a changing room and stuff in the previous store? You must have.
No, not really. Just sort of hold a sheet up around the customer.
One of those hula hoops with the sheets on it, and just pull it up over the head and drop it back down.
Something like that.
Ta-da!
Yeah. So we don't carry stock, but we've got a fully stocked showroom. So again, coming back to that point, garments are not all equal, and we want to have a conversation with you, make sure that your brand is represented, and oftentimes we take it for granted maybe as sales and marketing people, but oftentimes people don't even think about their target market, who they deal with. So have that conversation, and it's all part of the service thing again. Oh, I never thought about that, If you're a tradie, well, you're out there quoting, why not have a smart shirt for your quoting? But when you're on site, you still need some high-vis, right? Rather than when you're out quoting, do you have your high-vis covered in silicone or paint?
Yeah.
Probably not.
And your networking, your BNIs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you said earlier, when the customer walks into the shop, like, people need to remember you only get one chance at a first impression.
Correct.
So you walk in there and the person's slumped over the counter and this place is a mess. Well, guess what? They're probably not getting a good feeling about your business versus you go in there, there's nice posture.
Yeah.
They've got a handsome moustache. Everything's going good when they walk in the door. You're going to get a lot of business.
Yeah. I need to work harder.
Thanks so much for coming on, Steve. This has been really fascinating. We could chat for hours more, but we have to wrap up, unfortunately. And I just wanted to, so it's been really great hearing your journey and your experiences, but where are you heading to, and what is your definition of success? What does success look like for you?
So we want to continue giving that good service and growing reviews. If I was to look at our ultimate goals, which kind of links into the same thing, we want to be the embroidery, branding, screen printing location of choice in the Tauranga area. Obviously, we've got turnover goals. I'm not going to share those publicly, but we've got a goal from a turnover point of view. And as I say, we measure all that retention rate and all the rest of it. It's making sure that grows and that climbs. But really to do what we do and continue to do it well.
All right. And success?
Yeah. Success. 1 day working week.
1 day working week.
So freedom of time. That's what you're looking for?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Freedom of time, freedom of money to provide you the time that you can work because you want to, not because you have to.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because business should be an enabler for
life.
Oh. So where do people find you, Steve? If they're like, you know what, this guy's sitting here in a smart EmbroidMe shirt, where would I find one? What's the best place to find you?
So 511 Cameron Road.
Yep.
Next to the Z station. I won't mention where we are
On the
also
other side.
next to. It's a big landmark for a lot of people. Robin knows it quite well, I think.
Opposite the mobile, yep.
That's it, a bit further up. Obviously online, so embroidme.co.nz. And then obviously there's the Facebook channels, or just pick up the phone.
Now, does embroidme.co.nz come direct to you, or?
Comes to the franchise website.
Okay.
Store list, Tauranga. But yeah, 511 Cameron Road. And the main reason for the address, the physical address, we've got the showroom, we've got the people, the friendly people. Come in and have a conversation. And it's consultation, not a transaction. It's really...
Yeah, look, Robin and I have both been customers of EmbroidMe, and I can say our shirts look pretty good.
Yeah,
so,
pretty good.
Still look pretty good.
Exceptional. exceptional.
Fantastic.
Haven't faded, and like you said, all clothes are not created equal. So an XL in this might be a medium in that size. So it is good to be able to go in there, pick up the garments, try them on, and go, wow, yeah, put my logo on this bad boy.
And have you left me a review, Jason?
I'm sure I
I
would
know
have.
he has.
Oh, I would have. If you sent it out, I would have done it. So
Okay. Do I need to pay $50?
Oh, can I get $50?
that,
No.
for those of you that know Steve, we'd know that would be like getting blood from a stone. So let's see, $50, please, Steve.
Yeah, thanks so much, Steve. It's been absolutely great having you on the show today, and there's lots of nuggets there for our listeners and viewers. I really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you very much.
No worries, awesome. Thank you.
Now get out
Cheers.
there and take some
Action.
Action. Very good.